combination of a few things. You know, like we are. Like the people are. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know? It's the way it is. Okay, good. Guys, I want you to have a great Shabbat. Enjoy yourselves. Yeah? Good. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat
It's
Shalom.
good to see you all. We have a beautiful Shabbat planned. We have the simcha of a bat mitzvah. How about a big mazel tov to Lila?
Mazel tov.
There you go. Beautiful. And a big mazel tov to all of you, to Lila's family and friends. We're happy to see you all. We hope you have a great, great Shabbat. Welcome and enjoy yourselves. We'll announce pages. We'll celebrate. We'll have a lot of great stuff going on tonight and tomorrow. And Lila, mazel tov to you. This is it. Enjoy this weekend, because here it is. And you've worked hard. It's going to be great. So we hope you'll sing along and join us. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat 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 shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and a good Shabbos to you all. At this time, I want to invite you to reach for the Red Sidurim prayer books you have. And that's the slightly smaller, slightly brighter book that says Lev Shalem. And I'm going to invite you to turn to page 5. So having sung Bim Bam, we are entering into the Shabbat spirit. We want to invite our bat mitzvah. Lila, would you come forward with proud parents? Coming up. Jen and John, and with the cantor, we welcome the Bima and all the family and friends. We're going to welcome the Shabbat with the singing of Shalom Aleichem at the bottom of page 5. Yeah, Lila, stand in the middle, put your book down there. Turn to page 5 and just follow along with the cantor, okay? Go ahead. Aleichem, Asharei, Malachei, Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bo'achem l'shalom Malachei Shalom Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachim HaKadosh. We hope you guys have a wonderful Shabbat, a wonderful day. Enjoy the simcha. You're surrounded by family and friends and lots of love. So mazel tov to you all. Okay, you guys can go sit down for a little bit. You'll be back soon for the Chag. Yeah, take your time. Oh. I invite you to turn in your Sidurim to page 14, where you will see at the red arrow the song of Yismachu. Let all of us rejoice on the Shabbat day.
ישמחו השמיים.
Hamayim.
ישמחו השמיים.
Hashamayim.
ישמחו השמיים בחיי הארץ. ישמחו השמיים.
Hashamayim.
ישמחו השמיים.
Hashamayim.
ישמחו השמיים בחיי
Haaretz. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Umalo. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Yiram hayam. Umalo. We're going to turn ahead to where's our ruach, which means may light be shown to all those who are righteous and seeking the light to dispel the darkness. It's on page 16, 4 lines from the bottom. Where's our ruach, light sadi, holy Israel simcha. Where's our ruach, light sadi, holy Israel simcha. Where's our ruach, light sadi, holy Israel simcha. Holy Israel simcha. Where's our ruach, light sadi, holy Israel simcha. Holy Israel simcha. From Psalm 29, Lila, do we want to bless you and everyone here with these words? Adonai Ozel Mo Yitein Adonai Yivarech Atamo Shalom. May you be blessed with strength and love and all good things on this Shabbat and always. And let us all say, Amen. So now we turn to page 23. Most of us are here. Somebody's missing. Who's missing? Who's missing? I'll give you a hint. We're going to sing to her now. The Shabbat Queen. Exactly. The Shabbat Queen. She doesn't come until we invite her. So that is your job, young lady, you and all of us. We're going to sing Lecha Dodi on pages 23 and 25. And this is the time weekly when we invite the Shabbat spirit to come and to be a part of our lives. And with Lila's help, we're going to do that. Hopefully she'll appear when we're all ready to greet her. Page 23.
Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamur v'zachor b'dibur echad, yishmiyanu el hamichad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tifaret tila. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lekrat Shabbat lechu b'nelcha, ki hi mekor habracha, mirosh mikedem misucha, tov ma'aseh b'machshavah tila. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech yirnucha, kud mitzri b'toch ha'afecha, rab lach shevet b'yemek habacha, v'hu yachmol alai. Lecha dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. So
page 25, we want to invite those of you who are willing and able to stand and face the rear door so we can welcome the Shabbat Queen with the singing of Boi Vishalom.
Boi Vishalom Ateret Bala Tam B'Simcha U'Sovola Tov Emunei Am Segula Boi Kala Boi Kala Lecha Dodi Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala K'nei Shabbat Nekavela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala K'nei Shabbat Nekavela.
You may be seated. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. The Sabbath Queen has arrived because we all sang to her, and now she's here. And so we're going to celebrate her day, which is Shabbat, with the song from Psalm 92 for the Sabbath day, page 28 at the red arrow is Tzaddik.
Tzaddik atama yifrach Eretz Barbanon Yizkeh Shitulim Bebeit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun Beseba Teshenim Verananim Iyu Lehayin Yashar Adonai Turi Turi Velo Avlatabor.
Beautiful. We're going to sing Hinei Matov. It means how good it is to be together. We can all appreciate the things that we have, especially when we miss them. This has been a year of missing a lot of people, you know. We've been socially distant, and a lot of people have been alone with hugs and kisses and things like that. And so many families are bereft because they've lost loved ones. Over 500,000 a year because of the pandemic, and over 3 million across the world. So to be able to say how good it is to be together is a good thing under normal circumstances, is certainly now. So we want to invite all of you who are happy to be together and to celebrate each other with Hinei Matov. If you got someone around you to put your arm around, feel free to do that and enjoy their company and their love. Hinei Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. It's good to be together to celebrate Simchas, my friends. Enjoy this weekend. We are ready to welcome the Mariv evening service for Shabbat. It's on page 39. So for those of you who are willing and able, we'll invite you to rise for Baruch Hu. Others may be seated. It's page 39.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai V'orach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Now Shevet, you may be seated. O Lord, the days pass into nights, and the nights pass into days, and the seasons into each other, and the months and the years. Be a blessing to us throughout it all. May we enjoy the brachot, the blessings that come by day, and the blessings that come by night. Blessed are you, O Lord, who brings each day the simcha of the Shabbat of Bat Mitzvah and all good things.
Amen. ומעביר יום ולילה, מבדיל בין יום ולילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, חי וקיים, תמיד מלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, אמרי ברבים.
Amen. Page 40, 5 lines up from the Hebrew is Kehim Chayenu, talking about Torah. May Torah be a guide and inspiration to us both by day and by night.
כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו בהם נהיה יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובהם נהיה יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובהם נהיה יומם ולילה יברך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen. Page 41, our Bat Mitzvah leads us in Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Malchuto le'olam ba'ed. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol evatecha v'chol moshevecha v'chol miyotecha v'hayu havarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzaveh al yom avivatecha v'shayimah Torah le'onecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lecha v'derech v'shamkecha v'necha v'shaktam amot v'zemecha hayutotot b'neinecha v'chatam al mezuzot meitecha u'visharecha. O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Praised be the name of the one whose glorious sovereignty is forever and ever. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all that is yours. These words that I command you this day shall be taken to heart. Teach them again and again to your children. Speak of them when you sit in your home, when you walk on your way, when you lie down, when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand and as a symbol above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your home and on your gates.
Page 42, we continue on our own through the next two paragraphs of the Shema.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Page 43, the commentary all the way in the left-hand margin speaks of Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is a Hebrew word. It means Egypt. It refers to the country of Egypt. Our story of Pesach we had a few weeks ago, in which we spoke all about the fact that we were Abadim, the Mitzrayim, slaves in Egypt, and now we are free. But Egypt, the experience in Pesach is important to us every day of the year, not just 8 days a year. In fact, it's mentioned in daily prayers, including this third paragraph of Shema that we just mentioned. We thank God for taking us out of Egypt. And I wanted to show you a commentary on page 43 because this is the season of inspiration. It's the days of the counting of the Omer, and we're looking for ways to improve our souls and to improve our lives. So the commentary tells us that Mitzrayim is derived from the word meaning straight, or the narrow strips of fertile land along the Nile. But it also means that which is narrow and narrow-mindedness. And so during the Omer, during any day of the year, the challenge is to not be so narrow, to open up our eyes, our hearts, to open up our lives, to open them up to each other, to try to hear the cries from the world, to be there for people in need. We hear all sorts of cries in this country and this world now. Families who have lost people from pandemic, people who have suffered racial violence, people who are suffering homelessness and hunger, and we are supposed to do what we can to help them to open up our souls and our hearts as wide as we can. So 8 days a year we celebrate Pesach, but every day is a good day to think about how we can change ourselves, make ourselves more open to the things that need to be done, and to be a more helpful person in this world and not be narrow-minded, but be open to all good things. So I wish us all well in becoming the best people we can. Amen.
Amen.
We're going to turn to page 44, second paragraph is Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nodati lo sefer lecha. Malchutecha robanecha bukei alifnei Moshe zeli v'amru, Adonai Elohim ba'ed. V'nemar kivad Adonai Yaakov, u'golom yed chazak mimenu, baruch et Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Amen. Page 45. Page 45 is the daily prayer for shalom, for peace. It's called Hashkivenu. We ask God to help us lie down in peace when we go to sleep and to awaken us in life for the morrow. The end of the paragraph mentions the phrase Sukkot Shalomecha, the sukkah or tabernacle of your peace. And I hope we will all feel protected by people and by places and for all good things. And then at the end, we ask that peace be placed upon Yisrael, the Al Yerushalayim, on Jerusalem, the capital of the Jewish people, and on Israel, not only the land, but the people there and the people Israel around the world. A little later, I'm going to tell you a fascinating story about the establishment of the State of Israel, because we just celebrated her 73rd birthday, and we hope and pray that we will know peace, that the people of Israel will know peace, that America, the world, everybody will have peace in our hearts and peace in our homes. For this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Page 46. Lila's going to lead us in Vishamru to celebrate Shabbat.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasod et ha-Shabbat l'edom tambarit olam Hinei Yisrael oti le'olam oti le'olam oti le'olam Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasod et ha-Shabbat l'edom tambarit olam Yisrael asal anai, Hashamayim et Hasharet Shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasod et ha-Shabbat l'edom tambarit olam Yom Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash, Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasod et ha-Shabbat l'edom tambarit olam.
The Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikada v'yikada shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yamad divrach hirute v'yamli malchute. V'chayechon u'v'yamechon Vayedaho Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman Kari, V'imaru, Ishmei Rabba Mevora, Leolam Ome Amaya, Yitbara, Vishtabah, Vietapar, Viet Ramah, Viet Nase, Becha, Yehanu, Yisrael, Vietala, Medikudasha, Rehu, Viela, Vietata, Behata, Ne'amata, Yabi, Rambiama, V'imaru, Amen.
Page 47. Wow, thanks for leading us through services as we can tonight. Beautiful. Page 47, we are at the evening Amidah, the standing prayer, which is said individually. So for those of you who want to stand for this, you can. For those who want to remain seated, the words of tradition and the prayers in our hearts. Page 47 is the Amidah.
Okay.
You're doing great. So we're We want to invite you to take a look at the last line as we sing a prayer for peace, a song for peace. Oseh Shalom, praying for peace for ourselves, Israel, and Kol Ha'olam Kulo, for the whole world.
Oseh Shalom Bimromah, Uyaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'Akol Yisrael, V'Imaru, Imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'Akol Yisrael, 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 Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, V'Akol Yisrael.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. How are we doing, okay? Happy you're here? Great simcha, 13 years in the making. Lila, you happy you're here? Good. Hope so. You're doing great. I'm really proud of you, kid. But don't go anywhere. We're not done with you yet. Still got a few more things to do. So, dear family and friends, Mazel Tov to everybody. It is good to see you all. I wanted to tell you a story tonight because I heard it recently, and I just found it really mashu, as they say in Hebrew, really something. You know, a couple weeks ago, not even that long, a week and a half ago, we celebrated Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel's birthday. So in recent weeks, we've celebrated terribly sad days and terribly happy days. I feel like I'm all the way over here, too far away. We had Yom HaShoah, which is Holocaust Memorial Day, which is very sad. Then Israel had Yom HaZikaron, which is the Day of Remembrance, on which this year, close to 29,000 names were mentioned one by one on TV throughout the day as Israel mourned the soldiers and the citizens who have died creating the state of Israel, fighting in her wars, and who died through terrorist attacks over the past good 80, 90 years. So we've been through all that sadness, and the Jewish people are no strangers to sadness. And humanity is no stranger to sadness this past year or so. So, you know, it's part of the human condition. But as Jews, we have our joys, and we have great ones. We got one this weekend. We got a bar mitzvah. That's a great joy. And again, mazel tov to you all. Enjoy the simcha. But we also had Yom HaAtzmaut, right after the sad day of remembering the slain and the people who died. Israel goes into this day of wild abandon in which they celebrate Israel Independence Day. And this year, how old is Israel? 73, the way I count, is what I heard. So it's where she's at, and it is nothing short of a miracle. If you know anything about Israel, or you know about Israeli history, especially modern Israeli history, a good place to start is the story of the Dreyfus Affair, through which a Viennese young newspaper man came to conclude that the Jews would never be safe outside of a land of their own. So they had to have a return to Israel, a return to a homeland, and his name was Theodore Herzl. And Theodore Herzl was the founder of modern Zionism. And he called the first Zionist Congress and then the second, and they came to a conclusion that the Jews need a land of their own in this world. Now, this was started back in Dreyfus Affair, is like 96, around there. Little did he know how prescient he was, because look what happened, the Holocaust in the middle of the 20th century in World War II. So that kind of proved, yeah, the Jews need a land to protect themselves. So I want to tell you a story that I recently heard, and I was very moved by it, and I thought I would share it with you tonight. Israel is Israel. There is a land of Israel in the Middle East, and even though its borders have changed many times in 73 years, it is still the Jewish homeland, and it is Israel, and Jews live there, Jews visit there. Lots of us has been there, and it's an amazing place to go to. And Lila, I hope as you are becoming a bar mitzvah and a young adult, you'll go to Israel and hopefully fall in love with it, what so many people have. Jews, though, don't only live in Israel. Jews live throughout the world. And Jews who live outside of Israel, in any place in the world, live in a place called the Galut, or diaspora. What happened was, back after the destruction of the first temple in 70 of the Common Era, when the Jews stopped being sovereign rulers of their land, they went, many of them, to Persia, to other places, and they went with the Babylonians, and they started to live outside of their own national homeland, and the rest of the world became diaspora, where Jews live today. Like us here, we're in diaspora. Anywhere but Israel's diaspora. So some Jews believe that in order to be totally fulfilled as a Jew, you have to live in Israel, and they want every Jew to come to Israel. And others say, no, there's the validity of diaspora. Jews live in America, Jews live in Europe, Jews live in Asia, Jews live where they live, and it's great, and we should have Jews all over the world. The book of Genesis teaches us ufaratzta, that we shall spread out and live everywhere. And if you know anything about Chabad, Chabad really celebrates that line, because Chabad goes all over the world and tries to get Jews to live all over the world, because they want to fulfill the biblical words of you shall spread out to the north and the south, the east and the west. So we all live in Galut, in diaspora. We may visit Israel, we might even spend extended time, but unless you're living there, we live in Galut. when Israel was destroyed in 70, the Common Era, there was no sovereign Israel for nearly 2,000 years. Jews hoped it would come back. Jews prayed for it. Jews sang about it. Jews taught about it. Jews read the Torah and hoped that Israel would be a homeland again for a people, but it just didn't happen after 70. And we went through almost 2,000 years of a lot of tough times. The Crusades, the Inquisition. We wandered the world. Countries threw us out at a whim if they felt they wanted to scapegoat us or blame us for their problems. And Jews didn't have a land that they could call their own. Jews often wanted to call, like, wherever they lived their own. Jews were really proud to live in England, to live in France, to live in Germany, live wherever they lived. But often when trouble came, they were made to feel as outsiders. And there were lots of rulers and people who said, if you're Jewish, you really can't be a good member of this country. You can't be a good English person or a good French person or German, whatever it might be. We all know what happened in the Holocaust. The Jews who lived in Germany at that time, they loved Germany. The Jews of Berlin, the Jews of the German state, they thought Germany was their home. They would do anything for it. Little did they know that as soon as things turned south and they looked for a scapegoat, what would happen during the Holocaust. So we didn't have Israel for 2,000 years. Skip ahead to May 14th, 1948, and David Ben-Gurion. It's an amazing place to visit in Israel. Binyan Atzmot, Israel Independence Hall. And it's an amazing story to hear about how David Ben-Gurion proclaimed the state of Israel May 14th. It's a great story. Anybody here know the story about what happened that day? It's a wild story. It was an Erev Shabbos. It was a Friday afternoon. An invitation went out to the Jews of Tel Aviv, that area, before Tel Aviv was Tel Aviv, that they should gather at Mayor Dizengoff, who became the first, literally mayor, M-A-Y-O-R, of Tel Aviv. And a lot of places are named after him now in Tel Aviv, Dizengoff Square, other places. They were invited to come to his house for a very special announcement, and the invited guests were told not to tell anybody. It's a secret. We can't have everybody come quietly. So according to one of the best renditions I heard of the story being told to me, so of course everybody knew. So everybody's packed the house. It now is an art museum, or it was an art museum and part of Dizengoff's home. They packed the house. They packed the streets outside. And it was so full of people, they had an orchestra ready to play Hatikva for the first time for the nascent Jewish state. The orchestra couldn't fit in the house. They had to put them upstairs. So people heard the music coming through the floor, right? Today you do that in an apartment building, you usually get mad. Lower your stereo. But that's all I had. David Ben-Gurion gets up there, and another time we'll get into some other fascinating stories. But until he actually proclaimed the state, I don't know what the minute was. It was called for 3. It probably began soon after because they knew Shabbos was coming. They also knew that war was coming. They knew that the Arab armies that surrounded them had intended to attack them. So it wasn't like a regular party, simcha, Lila, after services tonight, you should have a good time with your family and friends tomorrow, good time. Thank God it's different. You're not getting ready for a war. You're not getting ready for God knows what. But they were. They anticipated it. So David Ben-Gurion announces the state of Israel, and then the Jewish state was attacked by the combined Arab neighbors and armies, and she almost didn't get off the ground. It was a 3-month war called the War of Independence, and at the end of it, Israel was standing. She was still there. But here's an amazing story that I wanted to share with you that I just recently heard. What happened was that when Ben-Gurion proclaimed the state, there were people who told him not to do it for different reasons. At least don't do it now. It's not the right time. And so he thought about it, and I might tell you more about this tomorrow, Lila, because there's a bunch of good lessons in this for you and all of us. He decided that they had to do it. They just had to risk whatever was at hand. War, problems, had to do it. Israel at that time was bankrupt. She had no money. She had very little. She had most of her population of 1 million Jews were Holocaust survivors who were barely alive, who were starving. And Ben-Gurion wanted to start a state with these people. And he said, if I do this, like ani acharai, which means I'm responsible, I'm the prime minister, I got to take care of this nation. I got people who are starving, who are poor, who are scared, who are worried, and I need to take care of them. So what happened was, Israel was like on the brink of being destroyed and not even getting off the ground. But what happened was, the word came that Israel could get some money. And who was she going to get money from? Germany. Germany was going to give Israel money as what became the beginning of war reparations, and it was money that was desperately needed because people were starving. So Ben-Gurion hears this, and Ben-Gurion says, like the old proverbial good news, bad news. The great news is maybe there's some money available to help us out, but there is no way in the world I am going to go to Germany and take money after the Holocaust? What will the world say? Look, the Germans did what they wanted. They killed 6 million Jews, and now they're paying a few bucks. And so everything will be okay. The slate will be wiped clean. Ben-Gurion said, I can't do it. He said, also, this country won't let me do it. The Holocaust survivors, they won't let me take German money. He said, they're starving. They're really in dire straits. I can't do it. So Ben-Gurion's caught between a rock and a hard place, my friends. You know, we all have tough decisions to make in this world. On one hand, you want to live, and you need money. On the other hand, not all the money that can come your way is the money you need or want, because it comes with strings attached, or it comes with problems, or whatever it might be. So what did Ben-Gurion do? He had this tough decision to make. It would have been understandable if he would have said to people, I'm taking the money because it's there and we need to eat and we need to live, and pikuach nefesh tochet hakol, saving a life, supersedes everything. He just couldn't do it. And he told people, he said, the Holocaust survivors will not allow me to do it. They will not take this money. They will not live off blood money on the lives of 6 million Jews slaughtered. But he had an out. He called Nachum Goldman. Nachum Goldman at the time was the chairman of the World Jewish Committee. And he said to Nachum, he said, I got a problem. He said, I need money, but I can't take it from the Germans because I'm the prime minister of Israel and it's 3 years after the Holocaust. He said, but I'm the president, the prime minister of the state of Israel. He said, you are the leader of diaspora Jewry. You are the leader of millions of Jews who live around the world, who want to support Israel, who want to fund her, take care of her, and you have a different relationship with the world than I do as the Prime Minister of Israel. He said, if you can, if you're able, we're kind of asking you to help us. We need this money, but I can't ask for it. But maybe you can, because you live in the diaspora and you don't live in Israel. Nachum Goldman heard him loud and clear. He spoke to the leaders of Germany at the time, and they arranged for the money to be sent to Israel, and reparations from Germany were made, and they became the lifeblood and the financial backbone of the new Jewish state. To this day, I think I've been in a Mercedes like twice in my life. Anybody here have one? You can take me for a ride. It'll be time number 3. I'll have a great time with you. But I've been in a Mercedes like a bunch of times in Israel. Why? Who drives Mercedes? All the taxi drivers. Because it was part of the war operations. They got Mercedes car. And today, people know when you talk about Mercedes and Volkswagen, if you're in that world, the Jewish question comes up. Should a Jew drive a Volkswagen? Should a Jew drive a German car? Because of what happened, World War II, all that stuff. The taxis are Mercedes. They're war operations. I'm telling you, Israeli taxi drivers drive better than most of us. But that was part of the deal. And money came in. And what happened? Nachum Goldman did it. He saved the Jewish state. Ben-Gurion knew that he couldn't do it, but he also knew that in order for Israel to survive, they needed support and help from diaspora Jewry, the Jews who didn't live in Israel, lived around the world. And he got it. And that's begun a 73-year-old relationship of Israel and Jews all over the world. Probably every one of us has done something for Israel. Given tzedakah. Who had a little blue tzedakah can when you were little? Gave money for Israel. J&F, right? If you've been there, if you ever bought an Israeli product, if you visited there, lived there, whatever it might be, you supported the state of Israel. And the state of Israel is like Or LaGoyim. It's like a beacon of light unto us. We talk about her love, and we visit her, and we go there, and it's an amazing thing. So for the first time in 2,000 years, you suddenly had a Jewish homeland and diaspora Jewry building a relationship. And this is an amazing story about how diaspora Jewry also helped save the state of Israel. Even when she won the War of Independence and even managed to figure out how to stay alive, she got money from Germany, and if it wasn't for that money, she might not have been there. Because people were starving, and they had to build their lives all over again, and it was very, very difficult. So I wanted to share that story with you tonight. Ben-Gurion said to the Israelis, when they questioned the money coming from Germany, he said, listen, he said, it's not optimal. He said, but we have to accept this money at this time, because if we do, we can begin to fulfill the Zionist dream. The Zionist dream is having a homeland for Jews, run by Jews, protected by Jews, watching out for Jews, in a world that just let 6 million Jews get slaughtered, and now the remnants of that are here like just looking to live the best they can. And so if we take this money, we'll allow that dream to start. And now for all of you who've been to Israel, know about Israel, 73 years later, it's quite a very different Israel than it was 73 years ago. Now they say that the Israeli Chalotzim, the pioneers that built Israel with hose in one hand and guns in another hand, fighting off the Arab attackers. And for all of us who went to Israel years ago, you remember flying in and walking down the steps to the tarmac and the pictures of people kissing the ground. A few people just recently asked me, do people still kiss the ground in Israel when they get there? And I say, really, no one hits the ground when you go to Israel. You have a brand new, Ben-Gurion, you have the third, I forget what it's called, but the building 3, and everybody just goes right through like a modern airport. I never saw anybody kiss the lobby floor in Israel in the airport. I never saw them kiss steps, but people still might, who knows. If Ben-Gurion wouldn't have figured out how to have a relation with diaspora Judaism and get some help, we may have no Israel today. No Israel 73 years, no Israel to sing about, to dream about, and to go there. So I wanted to tell you that story because Ben-Gurion said, this job has to be done. I know that as prime minister, but it's a job that I can't do, and I need some help doing it. And so he enlisted Nachum Goldman, and Nachum Goldman said, I know exactly what you're saying. He got the money, and the proof is 73 years later, here we are. Israel's doing so good. She's like the first country around the world to get so many people vaccinated. And she's got her challenges too, but they're doing so well, they're opening up. People are living there, people are thriving there, and good things are happening. So if Ben-Gurion wouldn't have declared the state that day, if he would have given in to his fears, if Ben-Gurion wouldn't have accepted world help and given in to his concerns, we might not be talking about a world with Israel, and we'd be like 2,000 years of Jews still hoping and praying and waiting for a world to have an Israel, a Jewish homeland. But it was a historical imperative, and it happened, and I found it to be a fascinating story. Lila, you live in a world within Israel. 2,000 years of people didn't. Anybody who was born before 1948 today was born in a world with that Israel. And then 3 years later, because of the Holocaust and the UN vote and the partition plan and this, that, the other thing, the Jews got a chance to make a homeland, and they fought dearly for its survival in the early days, not just the war, but also for money. Because if you have people who are starving, you can't do anything. And that's what we have in the world today. Because of the pandemic, so many people have lost jobs, food lines are long, and everyone's asking to give money for relief. So I wanted to honor Israel Independence Day and her coming of age, as we honor you, Lila, and your coming of age as a bat mitzvah. And I hope you enjoyed hearing the story, because again, it's a story I just heard recently from a dear friend in Israel, and I had no clue about this story. I knew other parts of it, but I didn't know, you don't know the depths of desperation unless you're in someone's shoes. And we knew about the war and other things. But the fact that without that money from Germany, she wouldn't have made it, and you still see remnants of that money today, and now Israel is doing so much better on her own and very independent. She still wants the support of world Jewry, she still solicits it, and she still receives it. But today, it's not as an imperative as it used to be. And today, I know people, actually the same people told me the story, that said Israel shouldn't ask for support, financial support from World Jewry anymore, because we should be fine on our own. We should take care of ourselves. Let every country take care of themselves. That's a long cry from if we don't get some money, we're all dead. So it's an amazing story, and I share it with you. For all of you who've been to Israel, I know a bunch of you have and love Israel, 73 years. Amazing. Bible says the years of a life are 70, and then it's full. So Israel's made 73. It's a modern miracle. It's an amazing place. And Lila, I hope you'll get a chance to go, and we'll all get a chance to go back, and to witness the modern miracle of Israel and how it was a country that almost never was. But if it wasn't for these stories, including the role that Nachum Goldman played in going to Germany and saying, I want to work out an arrangement with you when Ben-Gurion couldn't, probably wouldn't happen. It's a great story. Lila, one of the things we learned from this story is that you never know what's going to be. We wanted a Jewish state, but it almost wasn't. And it was almost destroyed by the First War. And now I learned a story that it was almost destroyed by economic poverty. Just no money. You know, you need money to live. Some money. And it's a great story. Any comments or questions about any of this stuff? Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope we'll all get to Israel one day. B'mirav Yameinu. Lila, come on back. We're not done with you yet. So Lila's going to chant Kiddush. And you know what? If Lila's cousins want to come stand with her, some of you guys, come on up. She's all alone here, you know? Why don't you come keep her company? It's page 55. And those of you who'd like to rise for Kiddush, we invite you to do so. Kiddush is a moment of great joy, and we're going to celebrate with Lila on her bat mitzvah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvraton hinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit zihu yom tehillah Lima Kare Kodesh Zecher Yetziat Mitzrayim Kivanu V'charta
V'yotanu Kidashta Mikol Ha'amim V'shabbat Kodecha V'yavahu V'ratzon
Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Lila, take a sip out of that Kiddush cup. A cup of grape juice or wine is a cup of joy. Simcha. May you enjoy this simcha. Pass it around to your cousins. They walked all the way up here to join you. Help them out. There you go. So how about a big mazel tov and a l'chaim to Lila? Mazel tov and l'chaim. Beautiful. Page 63. From the second night of Pesach all the way through Shavuot is Tfat Sfirat HaOmer, the period of counting of the Omer. We number our days to beget us a heart of wisdom and to look forward and anticipate Zman Matan Torotenu, the season of the giving of the Torah. In traditional fashion, I inform you that last night we counted 26. 26, and so on 63 is the bracha, and then we will count the appropriate night tonight. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Turn to page 67, the penultimate paragraph. Hayom shiva v'esrin yom shehem shlosha shavuot v'shisha yamim la'omer. Tonight is the 27th day of the Omer. It is 3 weeks and 6 days towards Shavuot. May each of these days be numbered and blessed and enjoyed for ourselves and for all others. Amen. So now we're going to continue with Aleinu. As we turn back to page 56.
Alleluia Shabbat Ladon
Hakol.
Batik Kedula Lioseh Breshi Shalom Sangoye Haratzot Belo Samanu Kimishpechot Adama Shalom Samcho Kenu Kahem Begor Aleinu Kecho Hamonam Vanachnu Korim Umishtachavim Umodim Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'nemar
V'haya Adonai
Melech
Al Kol Haaretz Bayom Ahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo
Echad.
Those who would like to recite the Mourner's Kaddish, we'll invite you to remain standing, or you may say it seated. The sacred words of remembrance are on page 58. And our congregational family, Lisa Walden, and we mourn with them, and Moss and the family just lost both of her parents this week. 2 losses. One is hard enough, 2 is tough. Sandy and Warren both died, and we laid them to rest this week. Also, Beth Schwartzman lost a beloved grandmother and great-grandmother, Louise Cernoff. Also, we remember John Mitchell and Anita Nason. We remember the people who died in the Holocaust, and everybody who has lost their lives to sickness, illness, violence, whatever it might be. We are going to recite the Mourner's Kaddish and remember them all. L'zivracha, u'lezichronam. Yitkadal, v'yitkadash, shemei Rabbah. V'yalama, divra, hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon, v'yomechon, u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. V'agala, u'vizman kariv, v'imaru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach, li'olam, u'lameo maya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal. Shmei Kusha Brichu, Le'ela Mikol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechamata, Da'amiran V'Alama V'Yivaru, Amen. Yehei Shloma Rabba Min Shemaya, V'Chaim Aleinu V'Yahol Yisrael V'Yivaru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Yomav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Yimaru, Amen. Nala Shevet, you may be seated, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. It's great to see you. We want to say Mazel Tov to our Bat Mitzvah, to Lila. Mazel Tov to you. Lila, we're going to invite you to go join Mom and Dad over there because we've got a final song of blessing for you. To proud parents, to Jen and to John, Mazel Tov to you. To Vicky, to Marilyn, Helen and Martin, the grandparents, to all the relatives and friends, we're so happy to see you all. We hope you enjoy a wonderful simcha, and it truly is. It's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime type of deal, and it's just good to be together. So enjoy this day, enjoy the spring, enjoy Shabbat, and we'll see you hopefully tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. when we're going to continue. Right? Do I have it right? 10 a.m.? You know, I know the rabbi. Maybe we can sleep a little later. Want to come at 10:30? Might as well keep it at 10. It's already scheduled. Val, anything else we should know, dear? Okay. And Yashikov to you, Canner, and to everyone for coming. When we're done, is there something in the lobby? What is there? Yeah, there you go. There you go. Lila's parents have brought some sweetness to this with some desserts in the lobby, and you're welcome to take those. Please drive carefully, and please enjoy good health and all good things at this time. So, Lila, can we count on you again tomorrow morning? Maybe. Yeah, I got a feeling. You know, Jen, I got a feeling. Yeah, really. As long as you're here, she'll be there, right? It's all good. You did great tonight, kid. And you got a lot of love around you, and we're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow, and a lot of you will be here for Aliyot and good things. So, I want to invite you, again, if you feel like putting your arms around each other, we want to sing a song of bracha v'shalom, song of blessing to our bat mitzvah to Lila, and it's one you know very well, And we hope that you will feel blessed and bless others with your presence and your words and your hugs and your kisses and all good things. It's the Sabbath Prayer from Fiddler. May the Lord protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. May you come to be in Israel a shining name. May you be like Ruth and like Esther. May you be deserving of praise. Strengthen them, O Lord, and keep them from the stranger's way. May God bless you and grant you long. May the Lord fulfill our Sabbath prayer for you. May God keep you and shield you from. May God in his wisdom always care for you. May the Lord protect and defend you. May God always shield you from shame. Favor us, O Lord, with happiness and peace. Oh, hear our Sabbath prayer. Amen.
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 Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Mazel tov. Mazel tov.